The gathering storm. The universe held its breath. Millions of beings from countless star systems watched with a mixture of anticipation and derision as the annual Galactic Predator Competition commenced. This wasn't just a contest, it was a showcase of evolutionary supremacy, a brutal demonstration of survival's most fundamental principle, adapt or perish. Victor Rasmussen stood at the edge of the massive arena, his weathered hands resting lightly on the leashes of 4 beings that would challenge everything the galaxy believed about predatory excellence. 4 bears, each a testament to Earth's unforgiving wilderness, stood beside him. Not enhanced. Not modified. Simply pure, raw nature. The competition grounds sprawled across a massive artificial platform, suspended in the void of space. Gravitational stabilizers hummed softly, creating an environment that could simulate multiple planetary conditions. Alien species from every conceivable evolutionary path had gathered, their technologies and genetic modifications pushing the boundaries of what sentient life could achieve. Most saw humans as a joke. A primitive species barely emerged from their planetary cradle, with technology that seemed quaint compared to the advanced civilizations represented here. Their predators were expected to be nothing more than comic relief. Victor knew better. And so did his bears. The polar bear to his left, named Frost, was a living glacier of muscle and survival instinct. Captured years ago from the rapidly changing Arctic regions, she represented generations of adaptation. Her white fur, now slightly grayed with age, had seen temperatures that would freeze most living beings in seconds. Her eyes, pale blue and razor-sharp, scanned the surroundings with a calculating intelligence that seemed almost supernatural. Next to her, the grizzly bear, in a moment of naming pragmatism Victor later regretted, was a mountain of muscle from the Alaskan wilderness. Scarred from territorial battles and survival challenges that would have killed lesser creatures, he moved with a deliberate grace that belied his massive frame. The Kodiak, named Titan, was perhaps the most intimidating. Standing nearly 10 feet tall when fully upright, he represented the pinnacle of bear evolution. His dark brown fur rippled with muscles that seemed carved from living stone, each movement a testament to raw, unenhanced power. The black bear, smallest of the group but no less formidable, was called Shadow. Quick, intelligent, with a cunning that suggested a deeper understanding of survival than mere brute strength. Her eyes constantly moved, analyzing, calculating, a predator's mind in its purest form. Contestants, prepare for initial assessment, boomed a voice that seemed to emanate from everywhere and nowhere. The lead coordinator, a 4-eyed amphibious creature named Zaxtow, looked particularly amused by Victor's entries. Around them, other competitors prepared their predators, creatures that looked more like living weapons than animals. Mechanical augmentations. Genetic enhancements. Cybernetic implants that could turn biological beings into near-indestructible killing machines. Victor's bears had none of that. Just instinct. Just survival. A reptilian competitor nearby, scales gleaming like polished emeralds, leaned towards his companion and muttered loud enough for Victor to hear, "Look at those Earth animals. They don't even have basic plasma shields or neural combat enhancements." His companion, an insectoid being with multiple compound eyes, clicked its mandibles in agreement. Merely appetizers for the real predators. Victor remained silent. Let them talk. His bears had heard worse insults from nature itself. As the first gates began to open, revealing a landscape of artificial challenges designed to test the absolute limits of survival, Victor gave a subtle hand signal. No words were needed. Years of partnership, of survival, of mutual respect, that was their true enhancement. The Galactic Predator Competition was about to begin. And Earth was about to show the universe what real predation looked like. Not with technology. Not with enhancements. But with pure, unadulterated survival. The first challenge. The arena transformed before the competitors' eyes. Terrain shifted and morphed, a complex technological marvel that could simulate multiple environmental extremes within moments. Jagged rock formations erupted from smooth surfaces. Toxic mists rolled across the ground. Gravity fluctuated, creating zones of increased and decreased gravitational pull that would test the adaptability of each predator. Victor watched as the first wave of alien competitors unleashed their enhanced creatures. A serpentine beast from the Crotar system, its body a living fusion of organic matter and quantum-reactive metallic scales, slithered forward with impossible speed. Another competitor released a spider-like entity whose legs were precision-engineered cutting instruments, each limb capable of slicing through reinforced starship hull plating. His bears remained calm. Unnervingly so. Zach Stahl, the four-eyed coordinator, approached Victor with a datapad that flickered with complex holographic readings. "Your creatures lack even basic survival augmentations," he stated, more observation than critique. The first challenge eliminates approximately 60% of competitors. Survival requires more than natural instinct. Victor simply raised an eyebrow. Watch. The first phase was a terrain navigation challenge. Competitors had to guide their predators through a landscape designed to be fundamentally hostile. Gravity wells would suddenly appear. Toxic gas pockets would emerge without warning. Razor-sharp crystalline structures would grow instantaneously, creating lethal obstacle courses. Frost, the polar bear, moved first. Her movement was unlike any other creature in the arena. Where enhanced predators charged or leaped with mechanical precision, she flowed. Each step calculated. Each movement a study in pure survival adaptation. When the first gravity well appeared, a localized zone where gravitational force increased tenfold, most alien predators became instantly immobilized. Their enhanced bodies, designed for specific combat scenarios, couldn't adapt to the sudden environmental shift. Frost simply lowered her center of gravity. Her massive paws, evolved to trek across shifting Arctic ice, distributed her weight with mathematical precision. Where others would be crushed, she moved. Slow. Deliberate. Unstoppable. The grizzly bear followed a different strategy. Where Frost demonstrated fluid adaptation, he demonstrated raw, strategic power. When crystalline structures erupted from the ground, turning the terrain into a maze of razor-sharp edges, he didn't avoid them. He went through them. Thick fur and dense muscle absorbed impacts that would have shredded metallic augmentations. Each crystal shard that struck him seemed to simply bounce off. Not through technological shielding, but through millions of years of evolutionary adaptation. Shadow, the black bear, revealed a different survival skill entirely. Intelligence. While other predators charged blindly or relied on technological enhancements, she studied. Observed. Calculated. When toxic gas pockets emerged, Shadow didn't just rely on physical resilience. She identified patterns. Recognized the subtle atmospheric changes that preceded each gas release. Her movements became a dance of prediction and avoidance. Titan, the Kodiak, was pure, concentrated power. Where others might strategize or adapt, he simply overwhelmed. Massive muscles that had survived Alaska's most brutal winters now moved with a precision that defied his size. The alien spectators grew quiet. Whispers replaced loud derision. "Those aren't animals," muttered a crystalline being to its companion. "Those are something else." Victor watched. Calm. Confident. This was just the beginning. The first challenge would eliminate most competitors. But Victor's bears weren't most competitors. They were survivors. Pure and simple. The crucible of survival. The second phase of the Galactic Predator Competition was designed to be brutal. Where the first challenge tested navigation and environmental adaptation, this phase was pure survival horror. A labyrinthine ecosystem engineered to push predators to their absolute limits. The arena transformed into a nightmarish landscape that defied conventional understanding. Terrain that shifted like living tissue. Atmospheric conditions that changed with terrifying rapidity. predatory environments that were themselves alive and hunting. Zaxtal's 4 eyes narrowed as he observed the preliminary data streams. Of the original 247 competitors, only 38 remained after the first challenge. And Victor's bears stood among them, unmodified and seemingly unimpressed. The competitors were divided into interconnected zones, each a microcosm of lethal potential. Competitors would be scored not just on survival, but on how their predators navigated, hunted, and conquered these impossible environments. Frost found herself in a zone of perpetual ice and razor-sharp wind. But this was no simple cold environment. Crystalline predators lurked beneath translucent surfaces, living crystals that could detect vibration and surge upward with molecular cutting precision. Where a technologically enhanced predator might have triggered these crystal hunters instantly, Frost moved with a ghost-like subtlety. Her paws, adapted to Arctic sea ice, distributed weight so precisely that even the most sensitive crystal predators couldn't detect her movement. Each step was a calculated risk, a dance of survival that spoke to generations of Arctic survival. Bear, the Grizzly, entered a zone of volcanic instability. Terrain that erupted and collapsed. Toxic gases. Superheated rocks that would melt most organic matter instantly. His strategy was pure, concentrated power. Where others might seek to avoid, he transformed the environment itself. When a volcanic vent suddenly erupted, most predators would have been incinerated. Bear simply used the eruption's force, riding the thermal current like a living missile. His thick fur, evolved to protect against extreme temperature variations, became both shield and weapon. Shadow's zone was a psychological battlefield. An environment that played with perception. Holographic predators. Sound manipulations. Psychological warfare designed to break down cognitive functions. Here, her intelligence became her ultimate weapon. She didn't just survive. She understood. Each holographic threat was analyzed. Each sound manipulation decoded. Where technological predators would be overwhelmed by sensory confusion, Shadow moved with a clarity that suggested something beyond mere animal instinct. Titan confronted a zone of extreme gravitational and atmospheric manipulation. Pressure that could crush reinforced mechanical beings. Gravity wells that could compress matter into near-singularity conditions. His response was survival itself. Millions of years of evolutionary adaptation had prepared him for environmental extremes. Where enhanced predators relied on technological shields, Titan's very biology became his defense. Muscle density. Fat distribution. Skeletal structure, each was a sophisticated survival mechanism. Victor watched from the observation platform, connected to his bears through something deeper than technology. A bond forged in wilderness. In survival. In mutual respect. The alien competitors were changing. No longer dismissive. Now, afraid. A Zortak representative, a being of pure energy contained within a mechanical exoskeleton, turned to Zaxtal. Those Earth creatures. They're not just surviving. They're teaching us something. Zaxtal's 4 eyes blinked in rapid succession. A gesture of profound realization. They are showing us, he murmured, what true adaptation means. The competition was far from over. But something fundamental had already changed. Earth had entered the conversation. And the galaxy would never be the same. The convergence. The final stages of the Galactic Predator Competition revealed a truth that would forever change intergalactic understanding of survival. What had begun as a mere contest had transformed into something far more profound, a crucible of evolutionary philosophy. Only 6 competitors remained. Victor's 4 bears. And 2 other predators that had defied all expectations. The arena became a living entity, a complex ecosystem that merged multiple environmental challenges simultaneously. Gravity fluctuated. Atmospheric composition changed by the millisecond. Terrain transformed from molecular dense rock to liquid plasma in heartbeats. The first of the other surviving competitors was a creature from the Nexus cluster, a being that seemed to exist between solid and energy states. Its body could phase through matter, adapt molecular structure instantaneously. Where most would see an impossible advantage, Victor saw something familiar. Adaptation. Pure and simple. The second survivor was more surprising. A silicon-based lifeform from a neutron star's radiation zone. Not a predator in the traditional sense, but a survivor. Something that had evolved in conditions that would obliterate most known life forms. Victor understood immediately. These weren't just competitors. They were survivors. Frost's challenge came first. The polar bear found herself in an environment that cycled through extreme conditions faster than most computers could process. Temperatures that ranged from absolute zero to plasma-level heat in microscopic time frames. But Frost had survived the rapidly changing Arctic. Where climate shift had destroyed entire ecosystems, she had adapted. Her body wasn't just surviving, it was learning. Each temperature shift became information. Each environmental extreme, a lesson. The Nexus cluster creature watched in what could only be described as fascination. Its phasing abilities, so technologically advanced, seemed almost primitive compared to Frost's biological adaptation. Bear encountered a challenge that would have destroyed any technologically enhanced predator. A gravitational maze that compressed and expanded space itself. Regions where physics broke down. Where matter could become energy, and energy could become thought. His response was brutally simple. Survival. Muscle memory developed over millennia of survival in Earth's harshest environments became his shield. Where computational predators would calculate, Bear would simply endure. Shadow's challenge pushed the boundaries of perception itself. An environment that was part physical reality, part quantum uncertainty. Where observation changed outcome. Where consciousness became a survival tool. Her intelligence, honed by generations of survival in complex forest ecosystems, became her ultimate weapon. She didn't just observe the environment. She communicated with it. Titan faced a challenge that was less physical and more existential. An environment that tested the very concept of individual existence. Where boundaries between self and environment blurred. His response was pure, concentrated identity. A sense of self so strong that it became a survival mechanism. Victor watched. Connected. Understanding something the galaxy was only beginning to comprehend. Survival wasn't about technology. Survival wasn't about enhancement. Survival was about adaptation. About connection. About understanding. As the final challenge approached, the alien spectators had transformed from dismissive to reverent. Zach Stahl, the four-eyed coordinator, now looked at Victor and his bears with something close to respect. "You've shown us," he said, his translator rendering his complex language into human speech, "that true predation is not about weapons. It's about understanding." Victor simply nodded. No words were necessary. The final challenge awaited. And Earth was about to teach the galaxy a lesson in survival. The ultimate survival. The final challenge was unlike anything the galaxy had ever witnessed. It wasn't merely a test of physical prowess or technological enhancement. It was a crucible of pure survival, a moment that would redefine what it meant to be a predator. The arena transformed into a living nightmare. An environment that was part physical reality, part quantum probability. Zones where time fractured. Where perception became the primary survival mechanism. Where the very concept of existence was challenged with each passing moment. Victor stood alone now. His connection with his bears transcended the traditional understanding of human-animal relationship. They were more than companions. More than a team. They were a singular entity of survival. Frost moved first. Her polar bear form seeming to ripple between states of matter. Not through technological manipulation, but through pure biological adaptation. Millions of years of Arctic survival had prepared her for environments that defied conventional understanding. The other remaining competitors watched in stunned silence. The Nexus Cluster's energy-matter hybrid. The silicon-based neutron star survivor. They recognized something profound happening. This wasn't just a competition. This was evolution in real time. Bear's approach was different. Where Frost moved with fluid adaptation, he became a point of absolute resistance. A living anchor of survival. Regions of the arena that would have torn apart molecular structures simply flowed around him. Shadow's intelligence reached its ultimate expression. She wasn't just surviving. She was communicating with the environment itself. Interpreting quantum fluctuations. Reading the language of probability itself. Titan represented something more fundamental. Pure, concentrated existence. A being so absolutely present that he became a fixed point in an environment of absolute chaos. Zach Stow, the four-eyed coordinator, realized something that would change galactic understanding forever. These weren't just animals. They weren't enhanced creatures. They were pure survival incarnate. They're not competing, he whispered to his fellow coordinators. They're teaching. The final moments of the competition became a philosophical revelation. Victor's bears weren't just surviving. They were demonstrating a fundamental truth about life itself. Adaptation wasn't about technology. Survival wasn't about enhancement. It was about connection. About understanding. About resilience. As the arena reached its ultimate test, a moment where reality itself seemed to break down, Victor's bears did something unprecedented. They united. Not through external communication. Not through technological link. But through something deeper. A connection that transcended physical understanding. Frost's molecular adaptability. Bear's absolute resistance. Shadow's quantum intelligence. Titan's concentrated existence. They became more than individual beings. They became a singular expression of survival. The other competitors broke. The Nexus Cluster creature fragmented. The silicon-based survivor dissolved. Victor's bears remained. When the final moment arrived, they weren't just survivors. They were a testament to life itself. The Galactic Predator Competition had a winner. But more importantly, it had a lesson. Earth had arrived on the galactic stage. Not through technology. Not through weapons. But through the purest expression of survival the universe had ever witnessed. Victor looked at his bears. No words were necessary. They had done more than win a competition. They had changed everything.